No skit intro for this one, because what you are reading in the title is not hyperbole. It is real. This could potentially be the last split of 100 Thieves League of Legends ever. We will get to this upcoming weekend's matchup against NRG, expectations for 100 Thieves this split, but it would be wrong of me not to talk about the elephant in the room, that is the restructuring of the entire LoL esports ecosystem and how that directly impacts 100 Thieves. If you missed the announcement, the LCS is going to be dropping to 6 teams from 8, or at least like 6 of the 8 partnered teams as they exist now. We will be bringing in an LLA team and 1 open qualifier team from Tier 2. CBLOL will be doing the same in the South, and we will have a North and South Conference of the Americas. I won't go into the information about all the other splits and the international tournaments, because honestly, all that's kind of irrelevant right now. As a 100 Thieves fan, all you have to know is that yes, there's a potential for Riot Games to do what they did going into spring of this past year, that is buy out 2 of the teams and make sure they are no longer in the LCS. And we heard rumblings coming into last year that 100 Thieves was entertaining the offer of the buyout, and now we're here again. I know what your initial thought probably is. It's Dignitas or Immortals, right? Like, everybody's been wanting them out of the league for a long period of time. Yeah, fans want them out, but as a business, 100 Thieves is at risk here. I say at risk from a fan point of view. From the org view, obviously, if they want out, it's their choice to get out. Since spring, Jungle Juice, who was our general manager, has now been promoted to the vice president of esports for the entire organization. You can catch my full hour-long conversation with him over here, but one of the important notes that he mentioned is that budgets are officially determined, or plans are determined for the year after, in July. Right about now, we are coming up to that period in time where 100 Thieves is deciding what they want to do next year and reassessing the long-term pillars of the program. In a world where we've seen Optic Gaming and FaZe try to consolidate down, or more Optic specifically, try to consolidate down to just being an FPS org, 100 Thieves is set up to do the same. And being honest, when you look at the creator profile and everything that's currently around there with the org, League is the clear outlier in terms of the actual esports programs and the cultural fit relative to everybody else. Jungle Juice did put out a tweet today talking about all the LCS moves, but it's weird to see somebody affiliated with 100 Thieves not directly state the organization or the org's position on this matter, especially given that 4 teams have already said, yeah, we are in this. We are trying to make sure that we are a partner for next year. That's Shopify, Team Liquid's going on Hotline League, or Steve is going on Hotline League later today, Cloud9 and FlyQuest. All of them pretty much locked, so it leaves the 4 rest of us, and I'm assuming NRG will announce theirs soon. But Jungle Juice being promoted to the VP of Esports is also a problem, because now, like, think about it. If they were to cut ties with the League program, now would be the time to do it, because the only people that you're losing are coaching staff, analysts, which Chimera already works with Valorant, so he can just do things elsewhere. But like, everybody else associated with the program can literally just go to a different org. There's nobody in that limbo state anymore that kind of is like the hybrid that, you know, could touch on other things. With Jungle Juice promoted up, it's like, if they were going to do it, now's the time to do it. And the fact that there is a lack of explicit statements expressing their interest in remaining in the LCS long term, it is all too familiar. I went through this exact same thing in 2019 with Optic, where you're sitting there and like, you hear the rumblings of them possibly selling to Immortals, and like, is this going to happen? Is it not? Does IMT just want the League pillar? What's going on here? And it's like, you had this sense of dread of like, you knew right away if a statement could be made if it wanted to dispel this, and they didn't. And it's the same. I'm legitimately scared that the same thing is going to happen again, that I'm going to lose both of the League teams that I was a fan of in the franchising era. I don't want it to happen. Quite honestly, I'm a bit terrified, but what can I do? What can we all do? Nothing. We just sit here and we wait. We voice our support for 100 Thieves. We pray to God that they keep it, but I don't know if any fan outcry at this point is going to make a difference. Their decision has likely already been made. If it hasn't, by all means, please put your tweets out there. Show your support for 100 Thieves League of Legends and show how much it means to you to keep this program around. I'm doing my part, and hopefully we can have enough people that show that, yeah, that this is something worth keeping, something that they can develop long term. Anyways, enough with the negative. On to the positive, which is we have LCS action coming up this weekend. And in case you also still live under a rock and missed the announcement, we're doing best of threes now, which means that we have a single opponent to talk about going into this entire weekend, and that is NRG. Both of our squads, weirdly enough, even though like NRG was towards the bottom and we were in the middle, haven't changed a player, which is a good thing because we're seeing the return of all starting five. Sniper, River, Quid, Ayla, and Meech, all of them are still back. And the general consensus of community opinion that I've seen is that 100 Thieves should finish much lower this split than we did in spring, especially in the regular season, given that it's a single round robin best of three. And our performance in best of fives scared a lot of people last year. But I would say go back and revisit that, because let's take a yonder just a few months ago. Did we get absolutely stomped by Cloud9? Yes, not denying that whatsoever. We looked terrible. First best of five on the stage with expectations around us because now we're the second seed going into all this. River and Meech had never played a best of five on stage like this. Quid only had one from the prior split. We had nerves, and that was very abundantly clear in that series. But when you look then further, we had a best of five against NRG, who were a little bit shaky, but you know what? We started to get our feet underneath us a little bit. Yes, it was sloppy. It wasn't clean. Some of those issues will still be around this split. But when you look at the progression that we made from the C9 series to NRG, yeah, we started to gain our confidence back and started to pick up a little bit of mojo. But then people are going to be like, oh, well, you still lost to Team Liquid. I would implore you to go rewatch that series and actually see how close it was. We played Team Liquid closer than any team in the losers bracket did, including FlyQuest in the finals. Dead serious. Like, yes, the FlyQuest Team Liquid upper bracket matchup was probably the closest in the entire series or the entire playoffs. But in the losers bracket, once people started making runs and started getting their feet underneath them, we played them the closest. So what does that overall picture tell you? It tells you that these are young players who need time on stage to develop a little bit. And with that best of five experience, they will still grow even further. So going into best of threes this year, yes, we will have points where we struggle and we are still figuring out how to adapt to series, how to draft. But I have full faith that by the end of the split, we will be able to level up and we will be in a much better position going into playoffs than we actually were in the prior split, despite finishing second. But it could also have the downside of our weaknesses as individuals could be exposed. Meech's laning phase, not 100% great. Ayla, same thing. We need the two of them specifically to step up pretty massively. Sniper will get caught out in sidelines a lot. If these players are not able to overcome these types of things, it will be bluntly clear this split. So I think one thing that you'll see with the LCS in general is that you're going to see more player turnover with the new formats. Purely because we're going to have a much better picture of what each player is capable of and be able to make better assessments going forward. Goals for each individual player on this roster this split. For Sniper, if he can get back to second All-Pro, he was third this split, which got robbed. I don't know how Impact got it over him, but I think everybody getting All-Pro again is a massive success in the regular season. And then we'll talk about playoffs whenever the time comes. But for now, Sniper, I want to see him continue to grow and continue to be this lane dominant player that is willing to be aggro and take fights that very few other top laners are willing to do. River is going to be a really interesting one with the meta shifting pretty drastically with AP champions coming in. It doesn't seem like pure engagers or the champions that River's particularly good with are going to be meta, and it's going to test his champion pool. But I don't know, he just plays loose with 100 Thieves, so maybe we'll see him pop off a little bit. But I do worry about the pressure a little bit whenever it comes to River. For Quid, MVP boy, look, let's be honest, he did get reality checked in playoffs. Regular season was definitely a little bit better for him. Jojo Pune knocked him down a peg, but this kid's got the hands, and it's just a matter of time and letting him grow to see where he can potentially cap at. He still comes in as the best mid laner in the LCS, in my opinion, at least mechanically. His team around him may have failed him at points, but this is a guy that I would look at and say, yeah, you know, he should try and compete for a back-to-back MVP. For Meech and Ayla, these are the two that I think all eyes are on the split. They got to step it up in laning phase. I want to see them actually get advantages in lane and be able to take that outside of it as well. We know Meech's positioning in team fights is amazing, and the damage output that he can have is incredible, but we want to see him get to that point a lot easier than it was this past split, because man, it was a little rough at times. Sorry, we gotta wait for this thing to pass. Now, for the NRG series, I think this is actually like the perfect matchup that we could have in week 1. We play on Sunday, for those that don't know, so Saturday we do have off. We have an extra day to prep, but I still think the best way to attack these guys is through mid-jungle. Shutting down Contracts and Palafox does a lot for this squad. Dokla honestly didn't have a great spring, so I'm fully expecting Sniper to be able to take advantage of him, and he should. In theory, he should be able to win the one-on-one matchups and then be able to outperform them in team fights. NRG's bot lane always seems to get early leads, but even when they did, they were kind of able to throw it away a little bit later because the team coordination wasn't fully there. So for Meech and Ayla, I'm looking at the spot lane and saying, okay, if you can go even, that is an improvement from last split. If you can get ahead, that's even better. But if it's stock standard as to what I'm expecting them to lose lane a little bit to FBI and Huhi, and then mid-jungle's able to just exert enough pressure to be able to carry them through. Palafox is the X factor, though. I think he had a really off split in spring. I remember talking to him before the split started. He said that he took a lot of time off, didn't really play, and it seemed like he didn't necessarily gel with the team all that well. So now that they have a little bit more time, now that they've been able to mesh a little bit better, I'm expecting Palafox to return to form. So if Quid's able to body him like he did before, then hey, all's good, but I'm not expecting that. Final series prediction, I'm going to say 2-1 100 Thieves. I think I would like for every single series that we have to actually go to 3 games. I know it would be a heart attack for us. I know as fans, obviously you want the 2-0 decisive wins, but I just think the more experience that we can get in the regular season, the more games we can play, the better fit we will be going into playoffs, because the goal unanimously for this split is Worlds. Even if most people don't think that we can get there, the truth is we finished 4th last split. Like, in theory, you want to be able to improve upon that, and you want to be able to close out the split in the same way that they performed towards the middle of it. So I think 3rd is honestly a perfectly fine expectation, especially as C9 has retooled and FlyQuest has kind of changed around a bit. The floor could definitely be low with this squad. I'm not denying that whatsoever, but when I look at the range that we could go on between like 7th and realistically 3rd, maybe even 2nd, why not set 3rd as the expectation? Why not just make sure that we get the Worlds and what potentially could, again, be our final season? I do just want to say one final closing word. In the case that this is the final season of the Rendezvous, and fortunately things do go away, I just want to say it's been an honor and a pleasure. The last 2 years of making content around 100 Thieves have been a blast, and this series has been growing consistently as 100 Thieves fandom seems to rally around it, and I'm appreciative to all the Thieves fans out there and all just the LCS fans that tune in because they're generally interested in the team and the storylines. I'll keep you all posted every single time on what the current updates are around franchise or around the partnerships for next year. If there's any additional information, follow me on Twitter if you want day-to-day updates. But yeah, that's where we stand. If this is going to be our last split, if this is going to be the final time that we get to see the 100 Thieves brand in League of Legends, let's make it a goddamn good one. Come on now. I'm ready. I'm so ready to get the split underway, even despite the nerves surrounding everything else. Let's go.